Can you help a person having jaw and visual issues? So if someone's got something that's driving movement restrictions in the jaw or the cranium, can we make positive influences on these people? The short answer is it depends, but let me unpack that so we have a bit of a longer answer for you fine folks. What I find with most people, if they do have some jaw or some visual issues, more often than not, you can at least get some semblance of change. It may not be long lasting, but the number of people who I was like, there's no way that I can change them is few and far between. In fact, if I think back to the last 3 years, I've probably had a client, it's probably a client a year where I couldn't get any or minimal movement changes whatsoever. And I thought it was reasonable to refer them on the dental path or the visual path. There was one guy recently, actually. He had this recurring neck pain. And it just like, he thought it was from an accident of some sort. And he was getting his phone, so he pulled out his cell phone, and he was like doing this to read it. I'm like, that's interesting. What's going on there? And I said, does it hurt when you read? And he said, no. I've had to do this since I had LASIK eye surgery. I said, oh, you didn't mention that on your medical history stuff. Why do people do that? Anyways, so this guy, he had LASIK eye surgery that was botched. And it gave him monovision, so he had one eye for close, one eye for far. And he kept getting right neck pain. And he had to always turn his head to the right and compress down so he could view his phone or his computer monitoring in a computer job. And we did a bunch of things, couldn't seem to get much change. And, unfortunately, I think he had like a couple other redos on the surgery, did not go well. This was like the best it got. And I said, man, this is tough. I told him, it's like, I just because I didn't want to waste his time or money, it's like, look, I think I can help you, but I don't think I'm the person for you right now because you have these visual issues and you might benefit from vision therapy. I mean, that was my initial recommendation. I don't think he took me up on that offer. And that's something I struggle with too, is like when you broach these conversations about cranium versus jaw, is they're expensive if you want to do it right. Your results aren't guaranteed. Results aren't guaranteed with anything, of course, but there's the evidence on this stuff is still murky. And I say that being someone who's getting his mouth blown open to see what it does. So I think you have to be careful about pushing people to that very quickly, because in that case, maybe there were some things that I could have done and I didn't give them my best effort. I don't know. Maybe my bias to, once I heard that, I just was like, okay, there's no way I can help them. Maybe that didn't get the outcome I wanted. We just don't know here. But I think with this stuff, people push to doing those types of treatments way too quickly, because most people, the overwhelming majority, and I've seen this countless times, they do not have mastery of the basics. They can't stack. And yet they're talking to me for some reason. What the heck, fam? But if you don't, like, I've worked with some people who've gone down the dental route, who've gone down the vision route. No changes in symptoms. No one taught them how to exhale along the way. And to me, that's a disservice, because the human body is very adaptable. We can morph and change to a lot of different things, and that includes cross bites and the like. And if you don't rule out just coaching the basics and making sure that they can get in the positions they need to, I don't think that person's justified in going down that route. Especially when you go down the vision or the dental route, a lot of the activities become a little bit more challenging. So if you don't have the fundamentals in place, you're likely wasting your time. The one case where I will say I circumvent that issue is if there are glaring symptoms that would warrant pushing someone down that path. What I mean by that is not you have a loss of shoulder internal rotation or something like that. But if you got sleep apnea, if you got upper airway resistance syndrome, if you're grinding your teeth at night, that probably warrants further referral. Maybe it's getting a sleep study. Perhaps it's working with the dentist, could be with an ENT. If you have that person who's had LASIK eye surgery that's been botched and they haven't done vision therapy, I think that probably warrants a referral as well. Or if you have someone who you think has like a strabismus or a lazy eye that was never treated, I think that's when you refer to those things. And it's not because you're trying to improve their movement. That can happen as a secondary consequence, but it's because that's totally in the wheelhouse of those domains. No one gives a shit about your hip internal rotation if you have sleep apnea, because that's going to kill you. Loss of hip IR won't. You need to address concerning medical things as early as possible, and that's when I think doing these types of referrals is most important. So if you are someone who potentially has a jaw issue, exhaust all conservative movement measures and exercises as far as you can before going down that route, because you're likely going to get a better outcome if you inevitably do, unless you have some type of medical issue that would warrant a referral to those people.